I'm working hard expanding my small farm business so I can feed my new family. Can you see?
Nah.
And my good mates, Nick and Ross, both former chefs, share my slow food dream. Hey guys, look what I got. Oh, holy moly.
There you go for that one.
But it's not just pig farming and market stalls. We're always looking for new ventures to reach new people. $9.60 for you. That's $9.60. I used to be a big city food critic, but I gave up that life and moved to a small farm in country Tasmania. I've been learning how to produce my own food so I can know and trust what I eat. But just when I thought I had it all figured out, along comes Sadie, our boy Headley, and responsibility. So now I'm farming for three. How hard can it be?
Hop, hop. Hey, 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 whop, whop, hey, 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 hop, hey, hey,
Hey!
hey, hop, good.
I'm in the far northwest of Tasmania because I'd heard about this full-blood Wagyu cattle that get drove to an island off the coast. They get taken from Montague here over to the island that we're about to take them across to behind us. There's 200 head we're taking across today. Between mainland Montague and Robbins Island is a 600-metre wide channel, but at low tide this shallows out to 3 smaller channels. And with enough encouragement, the herd of Wagyu cattle can safely cross. It's an incredible sight to see 200 head of cattle heading into the water. And the man behind this madness is third-generation cattleman, John Hammond. Tell me about why you're driving them to an island. This seems like an awful lot of trouble for...
It's sort of a link between our mainland Tasmanian property and the island.
Do you own the island?
Yeah, we own the island freehold.
Right.
One of the few freehold islands in Tasmania.
Yep.
And one of the largest freehold islands in Australia, so we're very lucky.
And they get good grass on there, is it?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
$4
you'll see
a
that
month.
later today. Yes,
Yeah.
we've got some beautiful pasture there.
2 hours later, the herd are back on solid ground, Robbins Island, which has been in John's family for nearly 100 years.
It's 27,000 acres, about the same size as Phillip Island in Victoria.
And how many head of cattle are you running on there?
We're running about 5,000 head of cattle. That's counting everything, cows, calves, heifers, bulls.
How often do you bring the cattle on and off the island? Seems like a bit of a project.
Probably throughout the year we might do about 20 trips.
His cattle will graze the island until they're a year old, before being shipped to Japan to be fattened on grain. But John wants to shake things up a little by introducing Tasmania's first grass-fed, full-blood Wagyu into the Australian market. Wow, look at that. That's amazing. Look at the marbling. Marbling is this fine, lacy white fat that runs through the meat, not the stuff on the outside. When it's in the middle of the meat, it's softer and adds a real great mouthfeel. It adds moisture, it adds flavour. Marble score means how much of this fat
Yeah, it's
is
a
running
fine
through.
flecking, and the finer the marbling, the better.
What?
Like you don't want coarse marbling, you want really
Fine
fine fleck.
And what would this score at, roughly?
This was about a 5 or 6.
5 or 6?
Yeah,
That's incredible.
which is quite adequate for the type of steak we want to eat today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the proof is in the eating. I have to try this straight away. So it's pink, but not too red. It's unbelievable. Probably the best piece of meat I've ever eaten. It's so juicy and moist. It's tender, but it's not tender like, you know, get fillet steak that kind of is washed out or lacking in flavour. It's like 17 steaks all condensed into one.
Yeah, it's got a real meaty flavour, doesn't it?
Yeah. Being up here, the edge of the earth, you know, it's probably about as far away as you can get in Tasmania from my place as is possible, eating what's probably the best beef in the world. What it's made me think of is this business idea Ross, Nick and I have talked about for years, which is coming to a region, a remote region, discovering what's great about it, getting all the produce together and cooking it for long table lunches. Something like that would be absolutely perfect. in an area like the northwest. Back on the farm, I invite Nick and Ross over to take a look at my new pig yards and to talk about this idea of a paddock lunch.
Oh, aren't they gorgeous?
Lovely things. And they're dead keen. Between the three of us, we reckon we can put on a fixed price lunch in the far northwest of the state, something that the punters will never forget. We can base this around grass-fed Wagyu, like the Robbins Island.
That's a pretty good thing
Beef.
to base a dinner around.
Yeah, that's not a bad start.
And if you look at the country up there, it's amazingly fertile. So I know they grow potatoes and carrots.
There's some great octopus
Yep.
up there. Oh, there's that wasabi, some goat, Mathan Farm.
So milk-fed capretto.
Yep.
That sounds pretty good.
There's an abalone farm in Stanley.
Okay, so farmed
Little-
abalone.
Yeah,
Oh,
little
farm.
ones. There's got to be some crayfish.
All right. I met organic farmers, I think they're probably from around there, who grow a thing called quinoa.
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 Do you know what that is? I looked it up. It's like a super high protein grain. It's an exotic addition to a ripper of a menu. Got to be worth $140 a head.
In terms of numbers, I've done some basic costings on what I think, what are the things that are going to cost us money to put this event on. On 50 people, that's how much we lose. And on 70, that's how much we stand to maybe gain.
We stand to make about $1,000 between us, if nothing goes wrong. What else would there be? Nothing else?
Well, that's the other thing. Where are we going to hold this thing?
On the way back from the cattle, I went through Stanley and, you've probably seen pictures of it, we've been there, the nut, the amazing rocks sticking out. And if we could do something there, right on that corner of Tasmania, this sort of very exposed, wonderfully old area, with all these stone cottages and stuff like that, that'd be the ideal. We'll treat the first lunch as an experiment and we'll know soon enough if we've bitten off more than we can chew. All we need's a name.
But what about a common ground?
That sounds good.
So it's one of those names when you hear it, you go, yeah, that's it. That's a good name.
Let's do it.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I start selling tickets to our Northwest Paddock lunch at our market stall. It's called a common ground.
Oh, fantastic.
What it is, it's cooking the food of a region in the region. All wine included. The website's generating a lot of interest, and Nick and Ross have been working the phone, lining up our producers.
We want to try and get people who love eating good food at the same place and in the same location as the people that love producing it.
And as we pack our bags and put our money where our mouth is, there's not a cloud in the sky. But Tassie weather can turn on a dime. "500 kilometres later, at the site I had in mind, and it might be time for a little rethink.
I don't think you could get a more exposed piece of land in Tasmania than this paddock.
Probably in Australia.
Yeah,
The forecast is something like 80% chance of rain.
yeah. And 30
And
knot winds.
30 knot winds.
30 knot winds.
Yeah.
That'd be killer right here, wouldn't it?
So while it looks pretty good now, I think it's unlikely.
So we could, we could go down there alongside that hedge and be protected, but so it's a bit fraught.
Yeah. 500 kilometres from home and 2 days out, and our plans for the ultimate paddock lunch are being tested. The problem we've got is that it's actually stopped raining now, but it's been raining for 3 days, could well rain for the next 3 days, and even then the forecast for wind is really severe, so it's unlikely we'll be able to hold it in this paddock, perfect as it looks. And with 50 tickets already sold, it's too late to call it off. The location will have to wait. We need to get cracking on sourcing our produce. We've got hundreds of miles to cover as we zigzag across the northwest, visiting nearly a dozen local producers. First stop, Mathan Farm, which overlooks Guns Plains, where Pete and Marilyn Brack produce milk-fed goat, which Ross reckons is just perfect for braising.
What do you reckon?
That's fantastic.
Melina Parker's Milton Farm is where we'll pick collies and cabbages out of the rich, red and very wet soil. And also find a vegetable less common, wasabi.
It's all wasabi flavour with no, sort of like a celery texture, isn't it? But again, it's got that wasabi
Really subtle flavour.
flavour.
Then we'll grab potatoes from Penguin. Who knew Tassie grew cool climate avocados and lemons in Sprayton?
Oh, look at that.
And we also need to pick up the Robbins Island Wagyu that's been hanging at a mainland butchery. And at Kindred, we find Lauren and Henrietta Damon, who are growing Australia's first quinoa crop. I have heard this superfood is of South American origin, not so the Damons.
Yes.
Where did you come from before you were...
Oh, we came from Holland.
Holland?
That is 10 years ago now.
Well, why did you do quinoa?
For people which are very food conscious, it's one of the most complete foods. And yeah, organic is the better side of the normal food chain again. So.
Yeah. And what about this? Can you eat anything off here?
Yeah, you can eat them. You can eat them raw like they are, like lettuce.
Young or old? Doesn't matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. They all taste the same.
Tastes really good. Tastes really green, better than snow peas or sugar snaps.
Quinoa leaves. We'll have to grab a bag of those too. For what we actually came here for, the quinoa grain, is squirreled away in these silos.
Straight out of the header.
Little balls.
Wow. Looks like birdseed. It's pretty awful, but I can't stop eating it.
No, it's funny. I like the nutty flavour.
Yeah.
But even though it's got that sort of soapy bitterness.
So for us to cook it, we have to wash it even more after you've polished it.
You have to wash it truly 2-3 times.
And how much do you actually have to cook it to get that texture, or do you leave it quite crunchy like it is at the moment?
I like it a little bit crunchy and nutty.
Yeah.
Still.
You should come along on Saturday
Yeah.
and see if we
And
cook it
actually
right.
cook it, yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, sounds good.
Fantastic.
Oh, good.
All right, we'll cook for you.
Ross reckons this nutty quinoa might marry well with the Masson Farm goat, so we bag ourselves 5 kilos. 5 a.m. the next morning, it's freezing bloody cold and we still have no idea where to put this lunch on. But what sort of lunch would it be anyway, without some famed Tassie seafood?
How you going?
Hey, Craig. How are you?
Great, how are you?
Come aboard.
Craig Harding has the Northwest's only commercial octopus licence, and he's taking us out to get a few of the slimy little critters.
It's bloody early, but this is just incredible.
A few miles out and we start winching up 3 miles of line and hundreds of these little plastic pots. They've been left overnight on the seabed and they must look like great pads for homeless octopi. But coaxing them out can be a little tricky.
Have a go at getting him out.
If you're as slow as me,
There's a trick.
they'll have all 8 arms hanging on for dear life.
I'll leave that one for you.
No worries.
Craig's got the knack.
And that one there is a male, I think. They got a doodle on their leg.
We're not getting nearly as many as Craig would like,
Definitely want a better strike rate than this.
but more than enough for our modest needs. Then it's south, across the Arthur River to Cooter Rocks, where Graham Airy's got a boatload of lobsters who look very keen to be on the menu.
When are you actually cooking them?
Maybe Friday?
Friday.
We'll grab 10 for the punters, and 1 for us. To really capture the flavour of the West Coast, we take a quick detour past Marrawar to scavenge for some seaweed.
What do you think about this one?
Yeah, that smells like a rock pool. That smells good.
Nick wants to reduce it down to a broth to drizzle over some steamed abalone. And there should be plenty of those at this abalone farm. If only I could find them.
There's abs in here, but I can't see any. Whereabouts are they?
The abalone like to stay in the dark areas.
So they're hiding?
Under the appetite.
Underneath there somewhere?
Yeah,
All right. How long does it take to get to this size, Will?
4 years.
4 years. And they're only that big.
To get to there.
3 or 4 years.
I've never cooked a farmed abalone. I've eaten a couple in Chinese restaurants. I actually have no idea how to cook them.
After steam, take the whole meal out and clean that side. Cut it in some pieces
Yeah.
and put
Some sauce.
some sauce and
Yeah.
sauce, and it together will be very perfect.
So can we please get 75 abalone?
Sure, no problem.
We bag about 8 kilos for $200.
Thank you.
With the van overflowing with Paddock lunch produce, it's it's back to Stanley with one minor detail left to sort out. Where to hold the bloody thing? Luckily, Nick's come up with a plan B.
So this is Highfield. This is the barn, and it's managed by the daughter of the woman who was going to lend us the paddock. But we're going to need a bad weather option because every farmer and fisherman we've spoken to this week has told us there's no way we're sitting outside on Saturday for lunch.
Right,
yeah.
Have a look inside.
All their salad would blow off their plates.
Bloody hell. This looks great. Unbelievable.
Pretty amazing.
It is. Look, it's not exactly a paddock,
It's not what we had in mind.
but it's out of the wind and it's out of the rain. Listen to the wind going over the top.
It's pretty charming though.
We finally found a venue that might just keep our guests dry, but we've spent longer than planned sourcing our produce. So it's late afternoon, only a day before the big event, by the time we get to setting up the makeshift kitchen in this shed across the way. Hiding in the corner, Ross finds a handy surprise.
Have a look at this, guys. Look at this old forge.
We could cook on that.
Very quickly, I'd imagine.
What do you reckon about the Wagyu? Get it on some coals, get it a great flavour, like a big open grill.
Forge grilled
Yeah.
Wagyu. No one's ever eaten that before.
It's already getting dark as we head over to the hall to lay out our tables.
64 is exactly right, so let's do that.
We're buggered, and we've clearly underestimated the scale of this task.
So I know we can fail, but I reckon odds are we'll have a pretty good meal even if we fail.
I think timing would probably be the worst factor.
Timing.
Timing. We've still got the day to cook, prep, carry the meals, set the tables up, do all that.
We've got 8 courses, 60 people to feed, and only the 3 of us to make it happen.
It'll be fine.
But come the big day, what were we thinking?
So the oki's got to be marinated, and then we've got to leave it for a while, and we've got to slow cook it. You're
Yeah.
getting the veg prep, but we'll cook that closer to the time.
Yeah.
I've got to then get on the goats, which I'll get on and get cooked, so then I can pull it out and prep it. The beef I'll have to pull out, and I'll have to strip that down and get that all ready to go.
All the salad stuff's arriving
yeah.
a bit later, so the
Radishes.
We're marching as fast as we can. But as we chop, boil, braise and steam, it's soon clear there just aren't enough soldiers to win this war.
Hi, it's Nick.
5 hours out, and Nick makes a desperate call for help to anyone he knows in the northwest.
Oh, great. What time do you reckon you'll hit Stanley? Thank God you're here.
And finally help arrives in the form of hospitality mates from Utsi Cafe, Colette, Shireen and Fiona, who have driven 200 kilometres to save the day.
Hey, shall we take the girls over to the barn and get set up over there?
Their help will be invaluable, as our dining room is about 100 metres away from the kitchen.
We're going to carry the platters over in the combi.
And as Ross fires up the forge, I'm into the oki.
Can you save me a little bit of one of those to rub on the goat?
have that much.
Perfect.
And finally, we're making some headway.
I love cooking on this scale. It smells good already.
Do you know where those little ramekins went?
I'm just cooking the quinoa for the first time.
Do you want the oki to go with the lobster and the abalone, or do you want to move that to the main course with the beef?
We haven't unpacked any cutlery or crockery.
It's a race just to get everything set up in time.
Got about 10 minutes to go.
But wouldn't you know it, the guests are arriving early.
12:15 and we still got to get changed, Devo.
I'm just going to put a shirt over this, I think. Nip in and out of the shirt.
We can't put it off any longer. It's time to face the music.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming to this wonderful paddock event that we've organised for you. As you might have noticed, the paddock option that we had in mind fell through. The weather's been a bit against us. But most of all I wanted to do right now is say welcome. You'll have about 8 courses, and the idea is that it's all shared. It's a shared table and it's shared platters.
Then back in the kitchen, it's all hands on deck.
30, 32, 34.
Yep, right, that'll do.
34.
That'll do. Lid on. 4 minutes. Oh, look at that. 1 o'clock, 59 seconds.
As the abalone steams, Ross gets the Wagyu onto the forge grill. But with all that heat, he'll have to be careful not to burn it to a crisp.
Hot, 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 hot.
Out of the steamer, our abalone gets shucked clean. Then it's back in the shell, dressed with wasabi leaves and drizzled with Nick's seaweed reduction. Then delivered across the paddock, care of our dumb waiter to our diners. Next up, our freshly caught octopus gets a chance to shine. A dish with local spring garlic and beautiful North Coast Nicola potatoes. And if coming back for seconds is anything to go by, it's been well received.
This is the quinoa. I've just put some broad beans and the quinoa leaf through it. It's got a little bit of the goat cooking liquid. It'll get more because that'll soak in once we put it on the platters. What we're doing on top of this, we've got milk-fed goat, and then this sauce which is made from white wine, olives, a little bit of olive oil. That is regional cuisine at its heart. Everything, probably within an hour's drive of here, everything that we picked up ourselves. The leaves you're getting in there are the leaves from the quinoa plant. And so the quinoa itself is sort of nutty. It has a bitterness if you don't wash it enough. But the leaves themselves we found had a really, almost a mustardy character, a really, really nice, refreshing character. So we've just stirred them through and hopefully they're sort of half wilted, half fresh. Well, that actually seems to be going quite well, despite how it feels for us. People in there are really happy. They even seem to like the quinoa that I cooked and probably overcooked. I've got to go and help Ross get that Wagyu off the forge grill. And if that goes well, I reckon the whole event's going to be a bit of a success.
Our hero dish is the forge grilled Wagyu, but back at the coalface, there's a bit of a hitch.
How's the beef?
Yeah, it's good, but it's going to be a little while longer, I reckon.
We were worried there'd be too much heat, but instead there's not enough, leaving our $800 worth of Wagyu red raw.
They're just about finished the octopus. How long do you reckon this will be?
I reckon probably about half an hour, including the resting.
Half an hour?
Yeah. It's cooking, you know.
It's going to take ages, though.
Just keep on pushing stuff around.
Back at the tables, our diners are restless. A long wait for the main dish could ruin the entire day. But worst of all, to pass the time, they're drinking out profits.
You must be getting close, Ross. I can hardly see you through the smoke.
Yeah, I know. Look, I think these ones are going to be a bit rarer.
A bit rare.
Rare or not, it's going out.
This is the grand moment in our lunch.
Robbins Island Wagyu beef served two ways. Braised and forge grilled, albeit a little underdone. But what do the punters think? Which just leaves dessert, strawberries, goat's milk yoghurt and honey. As the sweets go down, it's finally time to mingle, take stock and get some feedback.
You were saying you thought that the Wagyu might be a bit on the rare side?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But
yeah, look, it was on for so long.
It's hard to do that. It's hard to judge, isn't it?
His comments are fair enough, and we probably blew any chance of making money with all the alcohol that was consumed. But more importantly, people loved the food and had a great time.
The quinoa that we ate was amazing.
Then it's a call for last drinks. With the meal over, it's finally time for a cosy debrief over a glass of red in the sunshine.
Oh, I needed that. It was kind of worthwhile putting on because people enjoyed themselves, but it's actually worth doing another one.
I don't reckon we made money. I don't think we lost money, but I think if we were going to do it again, we could definitely learn from it. Get the numbers a bit right, get the ordering a bit better.
Get the ordering better.
I think the product was fantastic. The
So what did we do right? We went a long way from home. We cooked with produce we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
In a venue that we didn't know.
We set up our own kitchen.
So we set up our own kitchen.
But we met
we
some
did it,
amazing producers.
Yeah, so if we did
and
it,
we worked with some incredible stuff. And we sent people home with an experience that they'll never be able to have again.
And despite 8 hours of washing up ahead of us, we're already planning our next adventure.
Yeah.
So we did another one, where would we go?
I've never been to Flinders.
Sounds good.
Let's go there.
We let the wind do all the work. A live working mill.
Bring them all the way up. And a bit further.
And my Jersey cow Maggie fights for her life.
The thought of losing her is I can't even begin to contemplate.